Few things are more heartbreaking than a mother losing a child. As pictures and videos of the parents surface in newspapers and on television news, people far and wide sympathize with the heartache of those left behind. But sometimes that sympathy turns into hatred and anger. Nicole Bryner would disappear from a Pittsburgh Giant Eagle supermarket in March of 1982. 4 years later, police obtained a confession from someone close to Nicole, and that would quickly turn the tide of public opinion. This video will detail the disappearance of Nicole Bryner, the murder confession, and the aftermath. Nicole Lynn Bryner was born on February the 20th of 1979 and lived with her mother Melody Thomas Childs at an apartment complex on Sarah Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On March the 11th of 1982, Melody took her daughter to the nearby Giant Eagle supermarket on 23rd Street and Jane Street. The mother and daughter couple had been there numerous times, but something was different about that day. Once they entered the store, Nicole was adamant that she wanted cookies and she wasn't going to leave without them. Melody pushed the shopping cart toward the meat counter with Nicole sitting on the bottom of the cart. Melody looked at something on the counter and then she turned around to find her daughter missing. She didn't think too much about it. She figured that Nicole had gone looking for cookies without her permission. Melody strode to the cookie aisle, expecting to find Nicole there, but her daughter was nowhere to be found. She began to panic and asked employees to help search for Nicole, who she claimed had been abducted. When they were unable to find Nicole, police were notified. Police had no luck finding the young girl, so they turned their focus to finding the kidnapper. They initially suspected that it was a child abduction stemming from a custody dispute, so they zoned in on Nicole's father, Michael Bryner. Michael was living in Corpus Christi, Texas, where he worked as a remodeler. He would be questioned and cleared before flying to Pittsburgh to help search for the missing girl. Investigators went on to speak with many of Nicole's family members, but they would be cleared as well. Michael intended to stay in Pittsburgh so he could gain custody of his daughter and take her home with him when she returned, but that would never happen. With few leads and no evidence, investigators looked at Melody Childs and her boyfriend, Timothy Widman. They were suspicious of the story Melody was telling, and no one recalled seeing the girl in the supermarket on the day of her disappearance. As a result, Melody and her boyfriend were questioned and given lie detector tests. They would pass those lie detector tests and be ruled out as suspects. After that, the case would go cold for several years, except for an occasional reported sighting every now and then. A man who had been making and selling pretzels at a stand near the store's exit came forward. He claimed he had saw a child matching Nicole's description staring at him. She was alone near the exit, but simply vanished. An off-duty school security guard reported she had spotted Nicole walking away from the supermarket with an unidentified woman after being reported missing. In March of 1985, a man from Bakersfield, California, called police to say he recognized Nicole at a local shopping center where she was accompanied by a man. After spotting the child, the man returned home and checked the milk carton featuring her picture. He believed it was Nicole, so he called authorities immediately. The man and girl were gone by the time police arrived, but it was determined that they had been driving a 1979 green Chrysler with Texas license plates. Kern County authorities issued a bulletin for the vehicle, but the man and his car were never found. The man would say that he was as convinced as a human being can be that he saw Nicole. Still, police refused to call the sighting credible. In February of 1984, police got a possible lead when a man by the name of David Romanelli was charged with sexually abusing and killing 12-year-old Richard Grokowski. The murder took place just a block from the Giant Eagle supermarket, so David could have been a viable suspect in Nicole's abduction. He would be questioned, but there was never any evidence linking David to the disappearance. What he said during the interview has never been revealed. And then, Pittsburgh police would finally get the break they had been waiting for. Approximately 4 years after the disappearance, in 1986, authorities obtained a confession from Melody's boyfriend, Timothy Widman. The story he told would leave investigators perplexed and locals furious. Timothy would say that he had been on a drug binge for several days. Then, he found himself sleeping on the couch in the apartment he shared with Melody and her daughter Nicole. He was abruptly awoken when Nicole bit his toe. He responded by backhanding the girl across the face, causing her to fall and slam her head on the ground. Nicole went into a semi-conscious state before Timothy woke her mother. The couple did not comprehend the severity of the injuries, so Melody took her daughter to bed and did not get her medical treatment. He went on to say that Nicole died a few hours after the callous attack. Widman told police that he and Melody took Nicole's body to a wooded lot in Brookline, where they buried her in a green garbage bag. He made it clear that Melody assisted with the burial of her daughter and came up with a plan to report Nicole missing to cover up the murder. Widman was charged with involuntary manslaughter while police worked to track down Melody Childs. They learned that she had moved to Texas, where she had illegally remarried. Melody would be arrested in Texas in 1986 at her workplace and charged with hindering prosecution and filling out a false police report. Melody professed her innocence and never strayed from her original story. She said that she was worried police would stop looking for her daughter. After Timothy refused to testify against his ex-girlfriend, the charges against Melody would be dropped. She would receive a 4-year probation sentence for false swearing and bigamy. Multiple searches for Nicole's remains would lead to nothing, resulting in the charges against Timothy Widman being dropped. The story remained quiet until 2001, when Nicole's mother, Melody Childs Thomas, underwent back surgery at a Texas hospital. She passed away after the surgery, dying at the age of 41. In September of 2006, investigators obtained new witness statements claiming Timothy Widman had been abusive to Nicole and Melody. As a result, Timothy was charged with criminal homicide on September the 27th of 2006. Widman cooperated with authorities. In May of 2007, he would be charged and convicted of involuntary manslaughter before receiving a sentence of 2 to 4 years. That was enough for the Pittsburgh Police Department, which decided to close the case in 2008. They considered the case to be solved, but it was not enough for many. With Widman receiving a surprisingly short sentence and the remains still missing, many argue that justice has never been served. Nicole Lynn Bryner was born on February 20, 1979. She was 3 years old when she disappeared in March of 1982. Melody and Widman claim she disappeared on March the 9th, but the official report says March the 11th. Today, Nicole Bryner would have been 40 years old.